At the end of my tour in Duc Ton, I didn't leave Vietnam. I was transferred to Saigon and actually spent a little over a year in Saigon in several different positions on the staff at MACV headquarters out at the Tan Son Nhut airport, the international and military airport in Saigon. And John Vann, the man who I at first had tried desperately to avoid, who then came to Military Region 4, who, for whatever reason, took a great interest in me, gave me the unthinkable opportunity to be the district senior advisor in Duc Ton district, who was so supportive of me in every way. He had himself been made the senior American in Military Region 2, which was further north. And in 1972, one night, as he's flying in his helicopter, as was his wont to do, he'd be flying around at night in a small military helicopter. Somehow, something happened. Did the helicopter fail? Was it shot down? It crashed, and he was killed. John Vann was the most well-known American in Vietnam. In the Vietnamese language newspapers, huge headlines with his name. Van Chet, Van is dead on that. There was nobody else, no other American who ever could have commanded such attention. I was in the town of Dalat at that time on a brief holiday. I was down in the market when I saw the newspaper, how I found out. I go back to my job in Saigon, and I'm so struggling with his loss, with his death. I had come to admire him so much. I had come to see him as the best of America in Vietnam. And the word came that his body was being flown back to Saigon, would be landing at the airport, and of course there'd be a delegation of very senior Americans who would be out there to meet the plane as his body is brought off and prepared to be sent back to the United States, where he would be buried in Arlington Cemetery. So I was a junior officer. I wasn't invited to go out, but I felt the need to be there. And so I found the time when the plane was landing, and I went out, and I'm there at the side, and I see the party that is there, the ambassadors and generals and others who are there. Those who have escorted the body are all there, and they now leave. His coffin is still on the plane, and I just felt this need, so I climbed up into the plane, and there are these other U.S. Army personnel, U.S. military, who were part of what's known as the mortuary detail, who would be there to offload the coffin and begin the process of sending his body home. And I just felt this need, and so they didn't know who I was, but as they were getting set to move the coffin, I moved up, and I felt that I had to be part of this. I had to carry my hero's body off the plane, and I did, and that to be part of that. I felt that I owed that to him. I had John Vann's picture on my wall in my office, wherever I was. A few years later, a book came out written by a man named Ward Just. I, in fact, had given him a full day of interviews about John Vann. But he had found out some other things about Vann's background when he was in the United States. That made it clear that however brave he was, however effective he was as a leader in Vietnam, there were things in his background that were less admirable. I was disappointed. I remember I took his picture down, but forever it will be what he did, his leadership, the opportunities he gave me. I always admire what he did in Vietnam. That always remains as the very powerful example, and the opportunities he gave me were unparalleled. Was a tragic ending, but a tragic figure, but one who played an amazing and inspiring role in Vietnam.